This is a TikTok video that kind of made the rounds from a student at Barnard College. Russell found this piece. So do you want to set this up?
Okay, so Barnard, which is actually a sub-college of Columbia, it's a women's college. It has its own board of directors. It has its own administration, but technically it's part of Columbia. They are getting the Columbia treatment because presumably they're not doing this at Barnard and not at Columbia. None of these administrators wants to go the way of Manouche. So they are really cracking down on these kids to make sure that they don't rock the boat and get anyone dragged in front of a crazy congressman who asks them if they want to court the wrath of the God of the Bible. So this is Marie Adele Grosso. I'm sure she endeared herself to the administration with this viral TikTok. So let's see what her school experience has been thus far.
I go to Barnard College here, 10 insane things they've done this semester, and it's not even the third week of classes. Starting off strong, they told our professors that they could not express any geopolitical viewpoints. An example of a geopolitical viewpoint would be Black Lives Matter. 2, they put in my housing contract that they are not subject to New York housing law and can kick me out at any time without warning. 3, also in our housing contracts, we are told that we cannot hang political signs in our dorms. 4, just along this theme, they also admin can search our rooms by going through like absolutely anything at any time without warning if they think it's necessary. 5, we have designated protest hours, which I believe are between 2 and 6 p.m. and we can only protest on one specific space and we can't make too much noise. 6, they have already suspended students and removed them from housing. Some of them had disciplinary cases from prior and they waited until they paid tuition, came to school, and then suspended them. 7, they did call the NYPD to arrest students on the first day of class for protesting, and the NYPD carried out extremely brutal arrests. This is like a personal grievance, but they did personally threaten to arrest me for going to science class because my day didn't work and they thought I was interim suspended, even though I wasn't. And so like the police officer came over and I was like, I am not going to get arrested for attempting to go to science class today. Like, I will figure it out. Yeah, that was fun. And then my dean had to escort me to classes. Anyway, 8, they banned us from using our printing dollars to print anything political. 9, I was told personally by an administrator that people in the civil rights movement should have gotten arrested because the civil rights movement, even though they were doing the right thing, they were breaking a rule, and if you break a rule, you get arrested, and so rules are rules, and if you want to put that at risk, that's a good thing, but regardless of if they are good rules or bad rules, you are going to face the consequences, and that's also good. And last but not least, they are proudly and openly surveilling their students constantly. So this has been super fun. Not to mention, if we break any rules, we risk losing our housing, health insurance, schooling, food, access to community, access to healthcare in general, and so much more. I literally have resolved disciplinary issues, and I'm still struggling to get access to things like my meal plan. We are being personally targeted by administrators. Like, I am being literally, I spent the first week and a half of school being psychologically manipulated by 45-year-old women, which was super fun. I'm staying at this school because I love my peers, I love the faculty, I love the staff. They are amazing. They are the best that I could ever want to work with. But the administration is oppressive and awful to work under, and they advertise themselves as an activist school for activists. So it's put us all in this really awful position where the highest up administrators are making these terrible decisions that are deeply impacting my life. Deeply.
All right, so look, if we stopped at each one, we'd be here for an hour with this segment.
Yes.
So we figured it'd be better to just let that play all the way through. But she sums it up very well at the end, which is, Barnard advertises itself as an activist school, that is known for its political consciousness. And now go from that to, well, you're not allowed to use the school printer to print anything political. I guess they don't want them printing flyers for the rallies on school stationery. So you go from a school that advertises itself, that boasts of its sort of activist bona fides, to a school that now will not allow you to use their infrastructure for activism. That is how far they have fallen. And to the point where she says, what, item number one? What was item number one? Hold on. I know.
I go to Barnard College here, 10 insane things they've done this semester, and it's not even the third week of classes.
This is quick.
Starting off strong, they told our professors that they could not express any geopolitical viewpoints.
Yeah, so you tell your professors.
Which, how do you even do that at a university?
You can't express geopolitical school viewpoints. Yeah. I went to SUNY New Paltz for a semester. One of my professors there was a guy. He was a radical. He actually knew Che Guevara personally and wanted to go and fight with him in Bolivia. But Che told him no. He says, you're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't come. Which means he knew he was going to die. But anyway, that's at New Paltz. This is Barnard. This is, like I said, this is a school that's known for this. This is part of why these students come to Barnard College. Right. Like, why would you enroll in a school like Barnard College if you didn't want to nurture your political consciousness, right? And now they're saying, well, actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Bad timing, girls. Bad timing, girls. Now we can't do any of this. We can't do any of this because of the circumstances.
Well, this is what we said right after, and I dropped that article about how this was really the social justice movement turning back on its creators.
Exactly, yes.
They loved the social justice movement as long as it was aimless, purposeless, had no particular impact on real power structures, meaning the money.
Right.
Not fucking with the money, not fucking with the military industrial complex,
right.
Not fucking with the donors of big politicians that you're friendly with. As long as it didn't impact that, as long as it was about microaggressions, man, they want you fighting about people trying to touch black people's hair all day. They love that. Doesn't cost Wall Street a nickel. Doesn't stop one bomb from being manufactured. But man, you start getting into this shit. Wow. That questions the whole underpinning of our society, right? Of our governmental system, because they're all being paid by the military industrial complex. They're all in service to that power structure. Once these kids start going after that, all of a sudden they don't care about brown people anymore. Not those brown people, not the brown people having their children's faces blown off by pagers.
Right.
Those brown people don't matter all of a sudden. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Well, not Palestinian lives, apparently. And they saw that hypocrisy and it infuriated them. And now this is their response. I don't even know why you would go there at this point.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Why would you go there?
What is the pitch? What is the reason to go to a school like that? What is the point? Right. Yeah, and now, with the summer vacation, they've had a chance to sort of regroup and reset and dictate policies. So they're, implemented day one of the new semester. And now, the mask is off. The mask is off. Even at a college like Barnard, your professors aren't allowed to talk politics, and you're not allowed to print political materials at the school library. So then what are you there for? And this is what I've always said about academia. Academia is a counter-revolutionary institution. You don't go through academia to dismantle the system. Right. You go through academia to be absorbed into the system. It is a gateway into the system. Right. That's what these places have always been. To the extent that they have allowed anti-establishment sentiment to fester there, it is for that exact reason, because it is guilt management for people who go through. Well, yeah, sure. I graduated with a business degree from Harvard, but, while I was there, I learned how terrible this country has treated black people and Native Americans. So I guess that means I'm a good person, even though now I'm going to be one of the leaders of tomorrow who presides over this system, right? I bore witness to the suffering that this country has caused at college. And because I bore witness to that, that means my hands are squeaky clean, even though I'm now going to be a perpetrator for the rest of my life and get paid a lot of money to do it.
Well, to tie it back to the Matt Walsh segment, this is a lot of the purpose of the vocabulary, not necessarily the industry, but the vocabulary of DEI and postmodernism. A lot of it is really to distinguish what John McWhorter, in one of his better moments, in my opinion, describes as the elect. It is to distinguish you from the deplorables. That's why there's all this dense jargon and vernacular around it. That's not a bug, it's a feature. That's the point.
Right.
Because they want to be able, this is why they go berserk when these movies built around these premises or video games go completely bankrupt and destroy their producing studios. This is why they go berserk, because these are people who very often come from these kinds of schools where they're trained to believe that they have the capacity and the God-given right to dictate tastes and opinions to everybody else.
Right. Exactly.
And when they reject it in the forms where they can reject it, refusing to buy a ticket to a movie, refusing to buy a copy of a game, they go berserk, because it's a challenge to that entire premise that they can dictate this. And then they call the manager. They go to the media and get the media to write articles about the deplorable fans and this toxic racist fan base. And really, it's all about their offense at the idea that they mastered all this jargon, they mastered all this vernacular, they mastered all these concepts, and they can't get the deplorables to go along with it. And they just keep doubling and tripling down on censorship, on media campaigns, on cancel campaigns against these people. You know, I said when we reviewed the Walsh thing that that's all falling apart under the weight of its own contradictions, and it is. But I think at this particular moment, it's also partly all falling apart because the ruling class that this was aimed at has now seen that it's all a sham.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's a major part of it. And that was evident in the early days of these protests. That's why you wrote the article when you did. I mean, what was that? November of last year? I mean, it was very, very quick. It was very, very easy to see what was happening and how that whole facade just crumbled very, very quickly. Right. Now it's a year later. They've had a summer vacation. A lot of the, well, not a lot of the, but a fair amount, certainly at institutions like Columbia, Harvard, UPenn, the administrations have been swapped out. There's new personnel, a little bit of a fresh start. Now they can craft policies in a way that they hope will contain this activism from day one.
Please clap.